Hey friends, my birthday is this Sunday and I am ready to bring back Confessions of an Instructional Designer. So today what I've got for you are all of those inside thoughts that a lot of us instructional designers are not really going to say out loud. Hey friends, my name is Vanessa, the founder and CEO of Anchored Training. And on this channel, we help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers get off of that sidelines and get into the L&D game. So today I'm gonna bring you all of my confessions in my now, I just calculated it this morning, 14 years in the instructional design, corporate training, L&D space. So my first confession is, instructional design is not for everyone. And I think that it is very easy for us to correlate, teaching with instructional design and just assume it's a one-for-one conversion, especially right now where we are seeing a lot of teachers transitioning into instructional design. A lot of others assume that this is the best place for them as well. And frankly, it's not. There's a lot of skills that are definitely transferable, but teaching children versus teaching adults are two totally different skill sets. And when you get to dealing with all of the other politics, all of the other behind the scenes of what it is like to work with adults and to work with businesses, you're not even in the ballpark of a one-for-one conversion or one-for-one, transferable skill. This is not meant to discourage you if you are a teacher that's watching this, that's looking to transition. It's just meant for you to actually look at the landscape and the reality of what is around you. If you want to get into learning and development, there are a million other ways to get in besides being an instructional designer. And you are honestly limiting yourself if you are only applying for instructional design roles. Here's the other thing. Job descriptions are poorly written. Job titles are poorly written. And often you can search a keyword and what that job title actually is can be completely different. So don't limit yourself in your searches and things like that. And don't turn your nose up at certain jobs like a training coordinator or an LMS administrator. The idea for you is to get your foot into the door. Is this actually an avenue I want to pursue? Don't pigeonhole yourself into another career that you might not be happy with. Another confession is that we glamorize instructional design. And I think in our minds, and when you read the books and you see the things, you're like, instructional design, this is the place where I want to be. This is the type of work that I want to do. You are going to spend a lot more time project managing and managing people than actually designing learning and writing curriculum. Often a huge part of your role is going to be chasing after others to get you the content in which you need, dealing with the politics, or dealing with a reviewer and their feedback, or dealing with not understanding the business needs or the shifting needs of the business, or dealing with the politics behind the scenes, right? Doing a lot more with a lot less. That's a huge thing in the instructional design training world, okay? Especially now, we are in a recession. You wanna know what's the first to go? Training. Learning and development is always historically the first to go when it is a recession. Why? Because everyone assumes the subject matter expert can just take training and it's a cost, not an investment, right? They don't actually bring us any money, they actually cost us money. So instead we can cut that cost center on our P&L, and then we could just ask our subject matter experts to do a couple of webinars to get that training across. Literally, this is how it works. It is really important for you to understand that when you are looking to get into instructional designer, you see this field as something that you want to do. It is not going to be that glamorous world where you're just sitting and writing instruction and you're helping to change behavior and people are taking your training and they're like, yes, this is the training I've always wanted to take and this is amazing. That is actually not reality. More often than not, people are thinking the opposite than what you want them to. Look, you will get those projects that are absolutely amazing and that are absolutely incredible and are everything that you've ever dreamed of. Those are much fewer and farther in between. And honestly, I've been toying around with the idea of doing a day in my life or a week in my life. So if you are interested in looking at a week in my life as an instructional design agency owner, give this video a thumbs up. But honestly, you might get bored at some of my week. Some of my week is literally chasing people. I'm a little bit different now as a business owner where I'm managing people, but it's literally chasing down and dealing with the politics behind the scenes, as opposed to like sitting down on like the projects that I am lead on and like writing curriculum. Just know that when you're getting into instructional design. And that's why I really think for a lot of people that are transitioning in, the ability to meet with instructional designers at the companies in which you would love to work at, like even just DMing them on LinkedIn and like asking them for a coffee chat, like that is going to be invaluable. And really asking them like, truly, what is your day-to-day like? Like, are you getting to do all of the things that you wished you could be doing, right? Are you getting to sit and design? Like, what do you do all day? And when you actually get to do that, you get to really see what it is that you do. And you can decide from there if this is the field for you. And it's okay if it's not. There are a million industries, a million places out there. And just because instructional design in and of itself is not for you, does not mean that learning and development is not for you either. So remember, instructional design is just one little facet of an entire industry. Be open to broadening your horizons when it comes to this field. Confession number 3. What you see on social media is fake. This one is kind of a spicy take, and I recognize that like as someone that very much shows up on social media, like this is, my marketing team is probably gonna like murder me. And I don't mean that all social media is fake, but what we are showing you, back to my point previously, is like the highlight reel. And I am not going to go on my public LinkedIn and talk about the intimate details of my bad days. Why? My clients follow me on social media, and potential clients are following me on social media, or they're going to search me and they're going to see a post of me dogging them and then think to themselves, probably don't want to hire her because I don't want to end up on one of these posts in the future. Like, and that's reality. Right? And that's why I recommend finding a community, finding your people that's in more of a private setting. So I know there's an instructional designer group on Facebook, and for the longest time it was public. And a lot of people didn't want to post because it was so public. And now they feel more comfortable because it's in a private, closed community. That's the same thing with LinkedIn, right? So if you're only looking at LinkedIn for the instructional design community, then know that you're not going to always get the full picture, because what we are also all using social media for, particularly LinkedIn, is to generate revenue for our business, right? So I'm going to put my best work out there. I'm going to put my most profound thoughts. I'm going to put, you know, the best articles out there, the best blogs, the best tips and tricks, because I want to attract my ideal customer to me. And it's not meant for other instructional designers. If you are an instructional designer that is freelancing, or you own an agency, know that your social media is an avenue for marketing, and you should be utilizing it as such, especially on such an open platform such as LinkedIn. Know that if you're someone newer to the industry or someone newer to freelancing, like what you are seeing out there, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are happening. You may see where I am right now, but what you don't see, or what you didn't see, was 14 and a half years ago, I was laying in a hospital right after gastric bypass surgery, and I was 120 pounds heavier than what I am today. And so while people will say to me like, you're so confident to show up on camera and this and that, like to be on social media, like yes, and it took me 14 and a half years in order to get there, and I still deal with imposter syndrome, and I still deal with days I don't want to film, and I still deal with not loving social media all the time, and I still deal with all the things, and I get nervous about what I'm going to post, and I censor myself because I don't want other people to judge me. All of those things still happen, but you don't see all of that back end, all that work that it took to get to this place, and the struggles, right? The same thing when you see people post their work or a triumph they have, landing a new client. You don't actually see all of the iterations before that project that were not so great. You don't get to see all of the hard work it took for that person to get there, right? The lessons they had to learn, the courses they had to take, the YouTube videos they had to go and, watch over and over and over again to figure out how to, trigger that variable properly in storyline. There is a whole backside to that post that you don't get to see. Know that what you see out there is amazing and great, and people are doing really amazing things, but don't hold yourself to that, right? That is not your standard. That should not be the level in which you set yourself at. You should set yourself up for wherever your goals are, set yourself up to compete against yourself and not against anybody else and where they are, because everyone's journey is totally different. Everyone gets there differently, and maybe they just started before you and that's why they are where they are. I know for myself, I constantly am judging myself against other agencies that are much larger in size, and then I'm like, Vanessa, they literally started like 20 years ago and with like all of these legs up, including a crap ton of money, and they're like doing all of these things. Like, chill, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and like, you will get there, and it just takes time, and have a little bit of patience. So I implore you to also check yourself before you wreck yourself, and know that it takes a little bit of time, and just have that patience. But you will also get there. We'll be posting bomb ass stuff on social media that people are going to be looking at and aspiring to as well. Confession number 4. You are not actually more secure if you're in a full-time position. And I kind of already talked about this previously, but I've gotten feedback from people that are like, oh, I really would love, I prefer a full-time position because it's just more secure than freelancing. And it's like, yeah, on the surface it seems that way until the business has to make really difficult decisions and cut you. Because of not hitting their sales goals for that month, or a recession, or just whatever. The owner decides to close the business because they're done with it, or they decide to sell and the new owner is just doing away with everybody, right? Know that no matter where you are, if you're freelancing or you're full-time, there is actually never any security. So you should also always be, thinking about what would I do, or having like a backup plan. And I don't mean like a plan B in which like you can escape. Like for me, having anchored training, like I have to make this work, right? Like I have to. If I don't make anchored training work, my family doesn't eat. Like we lose our home. We lose everything around us. So I don't actually have a plan B. My resume is up to date, and I'm always making contacts, because if God forbid something were to happen, like the absolute worst extreme, I have built up enough of my network that can support me in helping me find that next role. And I'm not going to go and scramble to like update my resume really, really fast. Like I always keep it up to date. Besides some clients like request it, or potential clients need it. It's just a good practice for me to have. I am always ready, God forbid something were to happen. And you should take that same approach. Maybe you are in a full-time position, but keeping your like ear out there for some part-time side work, right? Maybe a family member owns a small business, and say, hey, do you need some help with training? Like, can I help you do a couple of things? And just to pick up like some sort of side projects that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do because you don't have that opportunity at work. And so that helps to ensure that you're getting experience in other areas that are outside of the role that you're in. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, if you've been here a while, like I hated e-learning when I first learned it. Like hated it. And then when I left my first full-time role and I reached out to my very first client and said, hey, like I'll be happy to like freelance and do some like e-learning. I said, if you have any Captivate work, be happy to do it on the side. And I started building up my freelance side giving. What is so interesting with that is that later on I got hired in roles because I was able to convert e-learning so fast, because I was able to take instructor-led curriculum and like synthesize it into e-learning. And I was able to teach other people on how to use articulate storyline because of all the years of experience I had developing e-learning. However, you actually look at my like progression, like I worked in onboarding and then I was an office manager. Like there was not a lot of e-learning that was happening. I did a couple of little things using Presenter when I was an onboarding specialist, but like when I was an office manager, there was no e-learning developing that was happening in that role. And then a lot of people hired me like when I was first out in anchor training because of my e-learning experience. Confession number 5. AI is not going to be the end all be all that you think it is. I think AI is going to help us. I think it is going to change jobs, but you will always need a human, because you always need the empathy behind it, right? You will always need that touch, that personalized touch. Like you'll get pretty far with AI if it's done properly, but you are still going to need that person behind, because you still need someone to like input the prompts. If you think back to my ChatGPT video, like I was putting in crappy prompts and I was getting crappy resume responses. Like that's what happens. So if you put crappy responses into AI, to help you develop training, like you're going to get crappy responses, and you have to ensure what is being outputted is accurate. I know that everybody is like jumping on this ChatGPT like bandwagon. It has helped me like save some time with like doing like marketing stuff and like developing, email content and social media content and captions and all that. Like Amazing, love it. I still need to be there and change almost every single sentence to make it sound like it's in my voice so that it is accurate, and to delete the things that are inaccurate, to delete the things that are just not something that I would necessarily say or not something that I would necessarily write. So just because AI is out there, it is not going to replace the need for you. So don't be afraid of the end of your job because of AI. Know how to use the tool, but don't forget that you still need to know the foundations of instructional design, of good writing, because without those two things, your ChatGPT output will still suck. Doesn't matter. You still have to know the theory, the basics, like really the foundation of good instructional design and of really good writing, and writing for instruction, and writing for performance-based outcomes in order to make that AI output work for you. It's just a good jumping off start to help you and to save hours of like sitting there at a blank computer screen being like, what the heck am I gonna write? Confession number 6. You will not make 6 figures right out the gate. And this has been something that is touted, has been shared. I would say for the most part, being like 100% with you, you're not getting 6 figures out the gate. Just know that you're not. Doesn't mean that it's not achievable, but in order to get there, it's going to take you time. So when I started earning 6 figures was probably 2017. And when I first came out the gate, like my very first job, I started at $35,000. So it took me a good like 9 years, 10 years. Not something that is easily achievable, but it's definitely something that can happen over time, and you earn your stripes in order to get there. When you start to specialize your skills, and when you start to really hone in on like your value as an instructional designer and really elevate yourself and provide more value, then you can command more money. If you're just going to be like every other instructional designer out there with very similar portfolios and just like very basic levels, like you're not getting that 100K. I'll just tell you that right now. But as you start to specialize, as you start to show like, show me that, how amazing you are at creating custom projects, or, synthesizing really complex information, making it digestible for a learner and something that they can, really learn in a 90-minute VILT, like those are the things that end up earning you 6 figures. And you could also get there if you have the flexibility to work full-time and pick up freelance work. I will tell you, I did it for many, many years. I had no life. I really hustled hard to get to that place where I was earning more 6 figures, and like now where I have more free time. That's like a relative term. It's different type of time. I'm not like sitting behind storyline. I actually don't think I've been in storyline in like months, which is actually quite incredible. When you start to couple that together, yeah, you can get 6 figures. But know that you will have to work for it, because what you are doing is exchanging your time for money, and there is a cap to both of those things, right? So if you want to move towards making more money, right, and actually commanding those 6 figures, get some of your experience, start working hard, learn from others, learn from the industries that you're working in, really find that place to specialize in, how you are adding value, and then continuously try to move forward and really hone in on that, and then see, where you can land, right? If it's another full-time job, it may be with another organization at a different role, more of a managerial role. Or if it's freelancing, it's finding that specialized thing, that niche that you can be bomb.com in, and people are coming to you, you're able to command that higher rate. And so with that, friends, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I want you to share your own confessions down below. Tell me what your deepest, darkest secrets about instructional design, and your thoughts on what I shared today. If they happen to be different, I would love to know that. I love a good, healthy debate situation. Thank you so much for watching and for celebrating another birthday with me, and I will see you all in my next video.